So go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, where you're from, what you do, kind of how you made your way here to CrossFit Die Hard, and we'll go from there.
Sure. My name's Chuck Baylor, and I'm actually a native Daytona Beach person, born and raised here. I'm like third generation, which is unique because I'm almost like a unicorn. There's not that many people that are from here originally.
No, there's not.
A few generations. But I've been here at Die Hard coming up on 5 years in August. And I am currently and have been in the technology industry. I work for a large technology company. I've been in technology sales and partnerships for about 20 years. The last 20 years I've worked out of a home office and I travel. So the whole pandemic thing and everything shutting down was nothing new to me. That's kind of been my daily life. But I was an athlete in high school and in college, and so I've always been involved in athletics and lifting and trying to stay in shape. And then life happens, and you get into life and your goals change. So about 5 years ago, what prompted me to come to CrossFit Die Hard, ironically enough, was I ruptured my Achilles tendon playing basketball. That's what you hear a lot about Achilles tendons with old guys, is they usually rupture it playing basketball. So you ask, well, why would you go to do CrossFit when you just ruptured your Achilles tendon? And I knew that if I found the right place, that it would, CrossFit was going to do something that would help overcome and strengthen, what I needed to strengthen, help me recover from my injuries. So I wish CrossFit was around 25, 30 years ago when I was in my early 20s, and it wasn't, but now it is. So I started my CrossFit journey here at 48 years old, so going on 5 years now, and honestly, best decision I've ever made. I love it here. So I just remember the first day coming in, and I'd gone to a few other CrossFit gyms in town, and the feel that I got when I came in here, it was during the middle of a class. I'm not sure if you were here. I just remember Carrie Ann was teaching, and she came up to me with the biggest smile and said, "Hey, how you doing?" And you go into some places and you just you get a feel, you get a vibe. And I got that vibe, and they were very welcoming. And I remember the conversation I had with Carrie Ann. I told her what had just happened to me 6 to 8 months earlier with my Achilles, and it's like, oh well, our owner and his wife, they've had Achilles injuries, and they know what to do, and we'll modify and make sure everything's safe. And that whole combination, just this is the place for me. So I was excited to get started. The other thing that appealed to me was it was almost like a team sports. I played team sports, played football. My dad was a coach. I'd been around team sports my whole life, and it had been 30 plus years since I'd been in like a team kind of environment. And there's something about coming in with coaches and people that I don't want to say suffering with, but you're challenging yourself with. There's something about that's invigorating, and I loved it. I loved the atmosphere here, and I loved how everybody encouraged everybody, and you can learn a lot from other people in here. So that was the main thing for me. So I've loved it.
So you actually found your way in here recovering from an injury to help you recover
Right.
and get stronger from an injury from basketball. And you did say you're 3-generation Daytona Beach. You truly are a unicorn. You don't exist.
Yeah.
There's nobody from here.
No.
I'm here now 14 or 15 years. Now I kind of say like, this is my home finally.
Right.
But I can't say I'm from here. That's one of the hardest things about here. You've been here 5 years. People come and they go because they're always jumping from this place to the next place, and you get to know them for a short while, and then they get to go. So it's nice to have kind of an anchor in the community that lives here and grew up here and is a part of here. That's awesome. So, What was it like before you came in here? You're playing basketball. What else? You mentioned that you had played team sports, but that had been a while ago. Like, what was your exercise like? Where were you? How were you feeling about exercise? How were you feeling about your training, all that stuff before kind of CrossFit? Was it more than basketball, or was it, what were you doing?
I wouldn't even consider basketball as part of my fitness. I was just playing pickup in my driveway. It's the first time I'd picked up a basketball in a while. I mean, I was a pretty decent athlete in high school, but as far as fitness goes, weightlifting, just going to the gym. Being I guess modern day gym bro back in the day. I was gym bro before it was cool. Yeah. That was sort of my routine. I had weightlifting, and I did some bodybuilding in my early 20s, and did a little powerlifting after I got done playing football in high school and college, and it was the typical fitness routine. You go to work, you go to the gym afterwards, you try to eat right, and I just kind of got in cruise control for years. And you go through life, you go through ups and downs, you start a family, you get into a career, and you have to start to prioritize what's really important. Time management becomes a big part of that. And so there were times where I was in the gym 5-6 days a week, and not doing anything CrossFit wise, but just the typical gym thing. I'd go through different body parts of lifting, and then I do 20 to 30 minutes of cardio at the end of that. It's cruise control, and frankly, I didn't have time to do that anymore. I was making a career, we were making a family, and so one of the other main reasons I came here, and my mindset coming into CrossFit, was I wanted to go somewhere where I didn't have to make up my program. I didn't want to think about what I needed to do, because a lot goes into it. I mean, if you're serious about training, and I've always called it training. I've never called it working out. I'm going to go to the gym, work out. No, I'm going to go to the gym and train. But that takes planning. And with everything going on in my professional career and my family life, I didn't have time to do that anymore. So one of the appealing things to me about CrossFit was I can go in, someone can tell me what to do, and kick my ass for an hour, and I can leave and go back and be a part of my life, because you got a lot of things going on in life. So I love the time management, the structure of it, but it was intense, it was deliberate, and that's what appealed to me about CrossFit. And again, this is why I wish it were around 25, 30 years ago, because I absolutely would have done it back then.
Yeah, back in my day, we didn't have CrossFit. We had to.
That's right.
Go to the gym for 2 hours.
That's right. Yeah.
So before that, you said you're on cruise control. Were you enjoying yourself, or was it old? Was it, like you said, you're a gym bro. Like, people love going, I love going to the gym. I love doing all kinds of different things in the gym. Were you happy with what you were doing, or it was kind of like you needed something different at the time, or you just didn't? Was it purely a time thing? Like, I don't have time to do my old hour and a half, 2 hour routine anymore?
I think it was a combination of all of that. You're exposed to different types of workouts as you are an athlete coming through high school and college, and you certainly, I didn't have the resources back then. I hate to sound like the old guy, but the internet.
That's why we picked you for this one.
The internet was not around for me to do all the research. I only knew and learned from guys who were training. I actually worked at a Gold's Gym. The first Gold Gym here in Port Orange. I sold like the first 100 memberships when it opened up back in the early 90s. And so I'd always worked at a gym, been a part of a gym, gone to a gym, but then again, as I went to finish school and got into my professional career, then you got to start prioritizing your time as to what's important. So I only knew what I knew as far as the training and the different lifts that I would do. Would I do, legs day? Would it be chest and back? Would it be shoulders and arms? Would it be some kind of a combo? Cardio is always a part of it. But again, that gets old. And I tried to eat clean over the years. And I think in general my diet was okay. But the other great part about being here is the nutrition guidance that you offer to your members, and really understanding how food affects your body, and the slightest little was not. But it just, I mean, that was really it. And try to stay, try to keep breads and pastas at a minimum. But when you're young, a lot of that stuff you can burn away fairly quickly. But as you get older, that's not the case anymore. You really got to be dialed in. So, you want me to start?
Yeah,
we're good.
We're back on.
Okay. So yeah, I mean all the stuff that was available back in the late 80s, early 90s, you kind of follow. You see all that stuff in the muscle and fitness magazines, and that's how I sort of let things guide me. Take creatine and take all your protein stuff, but again, it's once you get into real life, that stuff sort of takes a back seat, and again, you're just kind of guesstimating what you're putting in your body. And there were certainly times where there were things going on in my life and my family's life where the gym did not take a priority and did not. I didn't go. There were several years where I didn't necessarily go. I'd go to I joined a Planet Fitness, probably 10, 15 years ago, and started getting back into it. But again, it was the same thing I had been doing since high school, the same workouts. And I wasn't seeing as much of the results as I would have been. And that was because of my age and everything else. So again, it's, here, it truly is. It sounds like a cliche, but what I've learned since I've been here is the functional side of what CrossFit does for you. Because as you get into life and you're doing things in your everyday life, you're picking things up, you're moving them, you really start to feel the difference once you've done CrossFit. And you go and you're doing a big labor job with a bunch of you're going to try to help some people out or friends out and they need help, and you see sometimes how much they struggle, and I'm just picking crap up and putting it away, and everybody's like, oh, that's great, wow, that's awesome.
This is normal. This is what I do for fun.
This is what I do for fun, yeah.
My mother-in-law always says, "Oh, you sure? Don't pick it up." I'm like, Grandma, this is what I do for fun.
Right.
But with hundreds more pounds. Yeah,
right.
I can help do this in
right.
3 seconds.
That's
okay.
right. That's right.
You're right. They're always like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing to me that, I told you about why I first joined here. It was, I needed somebody to kick my butt for an hour, yada yada, and get back into shape, and that's great. But actually, the thing that's most impacted me as the years have gone on, your sort of goals and the reason you come here change some. When I started here, my son was 12. Now he's 17. He's on the weightlifting team at his high school. You want to be a role model for your kids. You want to show them. A lot of times when you're a parent, you talk to your kids and you can talk to them and they'll, sometimes they'll listen, sometimes they won't. But I think the most impactful way that you can affect your kids are being an example to them.
Do you think that you being either here or, you were always lifting, do you think that's why he made his way to the weightlifting team?
I think that was part of it. With him, it was, I think, some self-confidence as well. And, being a teen and being a kid nowadays is really hard. They're facing things that I never thought I would ever face. And I wasn't going to push him to play football like I did. Even though I played and I coached and my dad was a coach, I didn't want to push him to do that. And he had no interest in it, and that's fine. But the weightlifting thing has definitely brought us even closer together. As they grow up as teens, you're trying to find ways that you could connect because they're going through things that they go through as a teen, and it's sometimes as a parent it's hard to connect, but this is the one thing we do connect on. And when we talk about his clean and jerk technique, he came to watch when I did the CrossFit Open for the first time, and I'm doing the same things that he's doing. And I can just remember if I would have seen my dad doing something like that. My dad was my coach, but I never saw him play. I never saw him doing the things that I'm doing now that my son is getting to see me do. So that really has connecting us. So to me, that has become a big reason why I continue to come here and continue to stay connected to CrossFit.
That's cool. You guys have that connection and are able to share that. I'm not looking forward to the disconnect that happens as a teenager. Mine are still 3 and 6, so
yeah.
It's still okay.
Appreciate it now because mom and dad is still their whole world.
Yeah. So you mentioned your job before.
Mm-hmm.
You're sitting at a computer, traveling a lot, but sitting 20 plus years, working from home. You trained your whole life. Did you notice any kind of difference switching up your training methodology or switching from doing the traditional gym bro stuff to this in your work? Was it helpful? Was it the same? Was it different in any way?
It's night and day.
How so?
It's night and day. Just it's because of the movements, the variety of movements that we do in here. When you go to the gym, you're isolating muscles, or if you do squats and you do deadlifts and all that, that's great. But it's the other movements combined here. It's the not to be a commercial for CrossFit, and it sounds like a cliche, but it really has made a huge difference. It's the different ways that we've moved. My body's been exposed to that for almost 5 years now, and I feel a lot better. I mean, I struggled with a lower back injury since high school, and that's always been a part of my life. And some people might think that's counterintuitive to come and do CrossFit, but it actually has helped me tremendously. And so I have to modify a lot of the movements that I do in here because of my injury history. I've had things here and there that I've struggled with physically for many years, but you keep coming. There's ways that you can modify those movements and continue to excel at what you do and continue to get fit. So there's ways to overcome that. So that's definitely helped. I've not had as bad an issue with my back since I've been coming here. Whereas before, if I were just going to the gym and then sitting at my desk all day, yeah, I mean that put a lot of strain on my back. So yeah, it made a huge difference for me.
So it actually helped a back injury that you previously had to strengthen.
Absolutely. Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
Very cool. So let's move on to like big wins, surprises, results. Can you speak a little bit to those three? Like since you started, what are some of the results you had? What are some of the biggest wins you've had along the way? And then what about some maybe surprises that have happened, whether that surprise was a win or a result or something else that you just totally didn't expect to happen along the way? And then
I think the result is some of the results that I've gotten, certainly with the nutrition plan that I worked with on you made a tremendous difference. I mean, that's where, I went to school. I actually got my degree in exercise science, so I learned a lot, but a lot has changed over 35 years.
Yep.
And once you start to see those results, man, it made a huge difference. So I was very thankful for that. I had not done clean and jerks or snatch. I had never done a snatch before, but I hadn't done clean and jerks since college. Most gyms, at least up until the last several years, didn't have a platform or something where you could do those movements that I was used to doing back in the day when I was an athlete, whether it's deadlift or cleans or jerks. So I hadn't done it in a long time, and I was pleasantly surprised of how good it felt to be able to do that again. Now, the one thing that I wasn't sure about, because you're always a little hesitant when you start something new, especially something like CrossFit, was that, how was my body going to react? And I've been pleasantly surprised. So for me, a win is being able to continue to get stronger as I'm at the age that I am. And realizing that a lot of the fear is the unknown. because when you first start CrossFit, there is a lot of fear of the unknown. There's a lot of stuff that's out there in the media about CrossFit and, oh, you shouldn't do that, but a lot of it is FUD based on things that people don't really know. So just me coming in here and staying with it, to me, that's the biggest win. Being able to do pull-ups. I couldn't do a regular pull-up anymore, and I hadn't done a regular pull-up in 30 plus years. Now, I can rip off pull-ups pretty well. My next goal, if my body allows it, would be able to do a muscle up, which I know I'm plenty strong enough to do. But it's, that's my next goal. That will be a big one for me, the day that I can actually get a muscle up.
I didn't know that. Yeah. Very good. Any surprises? Anything that was surprising to you along the way?
I would say not any real surprises, to be honest with you. When you ask that question, I guess maybe people, they may have some surprises, but to me it's not as much. There was nothing that really surprised me other than the fact that once I got, well, let me take that back. If you'd have asked me when I joined 5 years ago, would it surprise you to be here in 5 years, I would have said, yeah. So to me, that was a surprise. But I knew, a month or two into it, like if I am physically able to, I will never not do CrossFit again. So my mindset shift surprised me, and it surprised me how quickly it changed. So to me, that's the only surprise for me.
Well, that was your surprise and your big win. Big win was being consistent for 5 years, which doesn't surprise me knowing you worked out since you were a kid, right?
Yeah.
I would say that might be the reason why you couldn't come with a surprise right away, just because you do have a big background in coached athletics with your dad and, now your son, and you've been training. It's like just kind of what you do. So maybe for you, it wasn't your first experience with training, right? It was the next thing, which kind of was the reason for the question. Did you notice a difference switching over in your job? I mean, a lot of people use it as stress management, or it kind of helps relieve stress, or
that's a good point, Boz. And actually, now that you say that, and as I think about it a little more, to me, the biggest surprise is how much CrossFit has had an impact on just my daily habits, my daily life. When you first start training, you first start working out, it's all about fitness. I want to look good, I want to feel good. But now it's so ingrained in what I do, and
got you. You're never leaving.
It's those habits that we talk about, and you and I have talked about. We read some of the same books about habits and developing those habits that affects the rest of your life. I mean, discipline is everything. It's made me be even more disciplined than I was before. I always thought of myself as a disciplined person. I've been fortunate enough to be, successful in my career and what I've done. And I thought it was because all hard work and discipline. And then I came to find out with CrossFit, it's made me even more focused and made me even more disciplined. It's those things that you do in everyday life and how much it carries over from what you do in CrossFit to everyday life. There's things you do in life that you just got to do. It sucks. You don't want to do it, but you do it anyway because you got to. So I've taken that mindset with CrossFit. I mean, at my age, coming 4 or 5 days a week, and I've been coming 4 or 5 days a week fairly consistently. Believe me, there are days that I do not want to come, but my mind just switches quickly and says, let's go, get your stuff, let's go. And that makes such a difference once you continue to do that, and you can switch that mindset to, I don't feel like going, but I'm going to go anyway. That's made a huge impact on just my daily life as a dad, as a husband, as a coworker, as a gym member. You just go, and you feel so much better about it. And I hope that my son sees that as well. You know, I can remember being 17 and I was nowhere even close to that mindset. And anybody who says that they were that disciplined as a teen is lying through their teeth. They were disciplined about what they wanted to do, but not what they needed to do. And I hope that he sees, and he knows sometimes I come home, I'm sore, I mean, just like he's sore, but I tell him all the time, I'll say little comments, hey, I gotta go to the gym. I don't feel like it, I'm hurting, but I'm gonna go to the gym. And so, to me, I would say the long-winded answer to your question about the biggest surprise is how much carryover going to CrossFit and being disciplined about it goes into my daily habits of my life.
Awesome. Yeah, that's cool. And then you said you were like the original OG working from home before the pandemic caused it for everybody. Has that helped you at all, you know, if you're normally working alone for 20-something years? I mean, other than when you travel, obviously, but, you know, everybody needs a place and an outlet. Has this helped at all with, you know, if you're going to the gym by yourself, maybe you had a workout buddy, maybe you didn't, maybe you just go hit it alone. Has that helped at all coming into a group setting with being someone that works remote? Or is that not really something for
So, yes, 100% yes. And I don't want this to come across, hopefully my wife is not going to get pissed when I say this, but coming here is the highlight of my day.
You just found your cover. You just found your cover screen.
I mean, it is, and I mean that in the sense that I look forward to coming here every day, because there are the everyday stresses of work that I do. I mean, I go into my office every morning and I close my office door and I'm at work. And some people say, well, you know, how do you do that? That's when I was referring back to me being a disciplined person. I've been working from a home office for 20 years, so I've had to self-motivate myself for that long. So going through the pandemic was nothing new to me. Those months that we had to close down the gym, that was really tough. That was tough. But thankfully, you provided an option for us to bring some stuff home to be able to work out. And I will say that from 2020 to 2021 was probably when I made my best gains in here, because I faithfully did those video workouts every day. I even brought a whiteboard into my garage and I wrote down the WOD just like I was in class, and I did the WOD and I videoed it and sent it in. And so when we got a chance to come back in here live and do classes again, that was huge for me, because I look forward to coming here every day. I think the other thing, I haven't traveled, by the way, I have not traveled since the pandemic, which is most of my career I traveled 50% of the time, and I've not traveled on a plane in 3 years. And so that's been a tough adjustment for me. So again, that interaction with people is a huge part of my day. The other thing that I love about coming here is meeting all the different people that are gym members. I mean, they come from all walks of life. A lot of students, you know, at Embry-Riddle or Palmer Chiropractic. And then you have people who are, you know, executives, nurses. They do everything. And I love having the ability to interact with everyone in here and figuring out what's going on in their life. And something that we all have in common, and kind of brings us together. So to me, that's why I say this is the highlight of my day, is this is my biggest form of interaction with lots of different people, and that's the reason I love being able to come here every day.
Awesome. So what would you say to somebody who's on the fence or considering trying it out, or looking at Gold's Gym or a boot camp or a CrossFit gym or something? What would you say, you know, to them?
Just do it. I mean, just come in and try it. And I'll be the biggest cheerleader for people that I know that I would get them to come to the gym. I mean, there are certainly reasons why you should join maybe a regular gym to do some isolation work. I mean, I have a membership to another gym. I rarely use it, but when I have to, isolate a muscle and strengthen it, we do a lot of compound movements in here. And for general fitness, I mean, this is hands down the best. But if I were going to tell them to pick one or the other and to get what you want out of your fitness journey, CrossFit, specifically CrossFit Die Hard, is the place to come, because it translates to your life, physically, mentally, emotionally. It helps you in all aspects of your daily life and your daily interactions, and so most gyms, you don't do that. I don't like to go to a regular gym anymore and look at the selfie-taking mafia looking at themselves in the mirror. I don't have time to do that. I want to come in here and work hard and interact with these people. The coaches are fantastic. You don't get that at a regular gym. So that's what I would. I'm going to get on my soapbox and say, CrossFit, if you had to pick one, go to CrossFit and find the right box for you.
Awesome.
Which is CrossFit Die Hard.
Very good. We're good. Now we just have to take a picture.
Yeah. Whatever you guys want to do.
We'll do this one.
Yeah, the gym bro?
Yeah. No, this one. Like the what was that? The
wait.
The over the top?
No, it was Predator.
Predator.
Dylan!
You get it?
Yeah.
All right, we're good. Thank you, Chuck.
You son of a bitch! By the way, I just saw they are doing a docu-series on Arnold on Netflix. It's coming out June 7th.